Korvax tried to process what he was seeing. Earth was dead. The Galactic Assembly had confirmed it. These ships couldn't exist. But his sensors didn't lie. The energy signatures were off the charts. The weapon systems were unlike anything in the Galactic database. And the humans were supposed to be extinct. He tried diplomacy, his voice steady despite his fear. "This is Admiral Korvax of the Galactic Assembly. We are on a peaceful investigation mission. Stand down your weapons and we can discuss this misunderstanding." Sarah's laugh was cold as space itself. "Peaceful? Like the Assembly was peaceful when the Ravagers burned our cities? Like you were peaceful when billions of humans died screaming for help that never came? There is no misunderstanding, Admiral. You entered our system. You will face the consequences." Before Korvax could respond, the human fleet opened fire. The Battle of Neptune's shadow lasted 3 hours. It should have lasted 3 minutes. 15 modern assembly ships against 20. Improvised human vessels should have been a massacre. But the humans had learned from their abandonment. They had studied every weapon that had killed them, every shield that had failed them, every tactic that had destroyed them, and they had found counters to them all. Zarathi technology adapted in real time, learning from enemy attacks, evolving responses. Human creativity turned desperate innovations into lethal advantages. Captain Marcus Rivera led the assault in retribution, his ship dancing between enemy fire with impossible grace. The Zarathi engines bent space in ways that modern physics said was impossible, allowing the ship to phase through attacks that should have vaporized it. When he returned fire, assembly shields meant nothing. Zarathi weapons operated on principles the galaxy had forgotten, turning energy shields into conductors that channeled destruction directly into enemy hulls. One by one, Korvax's proud fleet began to fall. Ambassador Thren watched the battle from her diplomatic vessel at the edge of the system. She had come to document the investigation, to write another report about another dead world. Instead, she witnessed the birth of something terrifying. The humans fought without mercy, without hesitation, without the rules of civilized warfare the galaxy had agreed upon. They targeted engines to leave ships drifting. They destroyed communication arrays to prevent distress signals. They were not just winning, they were sending a message. When only 5 assembly ships remained, Sarah Chen broadcast a new transmission. This time she didn't limit it to the local fleet. She sent it on all frequencies, to all receivers, across the entire galaxy. "For 20 years, Earth has been silent. You thought us dead, you were wrong. We survived your abandonment, we survived your indifference, we survived your cruelty. And now we have returned. Not as the beggars who pleaded for your help. Not as the weaklings you left to die. We return as what you made us, we return as your consequences." Admiral Korvax, his flagship burning and his fleet destroyed, sent a desperate plea to the Galactic Assembly. "Earth lives, Earth has ships, Earth has weapons we don't understand. Send everything, send everyone. They're coming for us all." His transmission cut off as Retribution's final torpedo found his reactor core. The proud admiral who had entered the system so casually became vapor and light, another casualty of the galaxy's greatest mistake. 3 of Korvax's ships were allowed to escape. Sarah wanted survivors to spread the word, to carry the fear back to the core worlds. They limped back to assembly space with footage of the battle, with sensor data that made no sense, with stories of humans who had returned from the dead with impossible technology and implacable rage. The assembly called emergency sessions. They debated and argued and pointed fingers of blame. Who had decided to abandon Earth? Who had ignored their pleas? Who was responsible for this nightmare? While they debated, Earth's fleet moved. They didn't attack randomly. They had a list. Every species that had voted against helping Earth, every government that had laughed at human suffering, every corporation that had moved to claim Earth's trade routes before the planet had even cooled. The humans came for them all, not with massive invasion fleets, but with surgical strikes. A government station here, a military depot there. Each attack precisely calculated to cause maximum fear with minimum casualties. Earth wasn't interested in genocide. They were interested in justice. The siege of Babel Station became the turning point. Babel was the Galactic Assembly's primary military hub, a massive space station that coordinated defense for 50 species. It was considered impregnable, protected by overlapping shields, thousands of weapons platforms, and a fleet of 100 ships. Earth sent 5 vessels. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it ended, Babel Station was under human control, its defenses turned outward, a knife at the throat of the galaxy that had abandoned humanity. From Babel Station, Sarah Chen broadcast humanity's terms. They were simple. Earth would take its place in the Galactic Assembly, not as a junior member but as a full voting power. They would maintain their fleet, built from the ashes of their world and the technology of the ancients, and they would become what the Assembly had never been, protectors of the weak. Any world that called for help would receive it. Any species facing extinction would find salvation. Earth would be the guardian the galaxy had refused to be. The Assembly had no choice but to accept. They had created this monster through their indifference. They had forged this weapon through their cruelty. Some species raged against human demands. Others secretly felt relief that someone would finally stand against the pirates and raiders the Assembly had always ignored. Ambassador Thren, who had witnessed the Battle of Neptune's shadow, spoke the words that would echo through history. We abandoned them in their darkest hour. They have returned in ours. Perhaps this is justice. Perhaps this is what we deserve. 1 year later, when the Skreath Empire attacked the peaceful farms of Proxima 7, they expected the usual response. The Galactic Assembly would debate, form committees, and eventually do nothing. Instead, they found Earth's Third Fleet waiting for them. The farmers of Proxima 7, a species too small and weak to matter in galactic politics, watched in awe as human ships descended like avenging angels. The Skreath learned what the galaxy was slowly accepting. Earth remembered abandonment. Earth remembered suffering. And Earth would never let it happen to anyone else. In the depths of Earth's underground cities, children were finally being brought to the surface. They saw the sun for the first time, felt real wind, touched grass that was slowly returning to the poisoned soil. They looked up at the stars not with fear, but with purpose. They were the children of the abandoned, the offspring of the forgotten, the descendants of the betrayed. The galaxy had taught their parents that only strength mattered. Their parents had taught them something different. Strength existed to protect those who had none. The galaxy had abandoned Earth in its darkest hour. But from that abandonment, something new had been born. Not the humble humans who had begged for help. Not the naive species who had trusted in galactic law. Earth had become the guardian it had needed, the protector it had begged for, the strength it had been denied. The silence had been broken, the Armada had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Forsaken World. The day the Galactic Assembly turned its back on Earth, the stars themselves seemed to dim. Commander Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of the United Nations building, watching the holographic transmission fade into nothing. The U. Assembly's response to Earth's desperate plea for help had been brief and cold. Earth was too young, too primitive, too far from the core worlds to warrant protection. The Ravagers were coming, and humanity would face them alone. The Ravagers arrived 3 months later. They were pirates, outcasts from a dozen species who preyed on weak worlds. Their ships darkened Earth's skies like a plague of locusts. Cities burned, oceans boiled. Millions died in the first week alone. Sarah watched from her command bunker as New York fell, then London, then Beijing. Every distress signal sent to the Galactic Assembly went unanswered. The great civilizations of the galaxy simply watched, some with indifference, others with barely concealed satisfaction. Humans were learning their place in the cosmic order, but humans had always been stubborn creatures. As the Ravagers stripped Earth's surface of resources and left the planet scarred and broken, Sarah led the survivors deep underground. They carved cities into bedrock, built hydroponic farms in caverns, and created a civilization in the darkness. Children were born who never saw the sun, but they learned the most important lesson of all. The galaxy had abandoned them when they needed help most. They would never forget. They would never forgive. The turning point came 5 years after the Ravager attack. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, a mining team discovered something impossible. An ancient Zarathi warship, buried for millennia in Earth's crust. The Zarathi had vanished from the galaxy long before humans evolved, leaving behind only legends and fragments of technology that no species could fully understand. But this ship was intact, its systems dormant, but functional. Sarah stood in its command center, running her fingers along controls that hummed with potential. The galaxy thought humans were primitive. They had no idea that Earth itself held secrets older than their oldest empires. Engineer David Kim became obsessed with the Zarathi technology. He spent months studying its power systems, years decoding its weapons arrays. What he found changed everything. The Zarathi hadn't just built ships. They had created technology that could adapt, evolve, and integrate with any system it encountered. When Kim connected human computers to the Zarathi core, something miraculous happened. The two technologies merged, creating hybrid systems more powerful than either alone. Human creativity and Zarathi innovation became one. 20 years passed in silence. The galaxy assumed Earth had died. The planet gave no signals, launched no ships, sent no messages. The Galactic Assembly removed Earth from their star charts, marking it as another casualty of cosmic indifference. They held ceremonies honoring the brave but foolish humans who had tried to stand among the stars. Some species even claimed parts of Earth's former trade routes, dividing the spoils of a dead civilization. They celebrated too soon. Beneath Earth's scarred surface, humanity built. They didn't just repair, they revolutionized. Using Zarathi technology as a foundation, they created ships unlike anything the galaxy had seen. These weren't the sleek, beautiful vessels of the core worlds. They were predators, built from salvaged Ravager hulls and Zarathi weapons, powered by human determination and technological fusion. Each ship was unique, ugly, and absolutely lethal. The first completed warship was named Retribution. Captain Marcus Rivera took command, a man who had lost everything to the Ravagers and lived only for the day humanity would return to the stars. Marcus took Retribution on its maiden voyage carefully. They stayed in Earth's shadow, testing weapons on asteroids, practicing maneuvers in the darkness between planets. The ship performed beyond their wildest dreams. Its hybrid shields could absorb energy attacks and redirect them. Its weapons could pierce through standard galactic shields as if they were paper. But most importantly, its stealth systems, adapted from Zarathi technology, made it nearly invisible to standard sensors. A ghost ship for a ghost civilization. The tests attracted attention. A Vrokan patrol ship investigating mineral deposits in the outer solar system detected an anomaly. They moved to investigate, joking among themselves about finding debris from dead Earth. Instead, they found Retribution waiting in the shadow of Pluto. The patrol ship sent one transmission before it vanished. Earth lives. The message never reached its destination. Marcus and his crew made sure of that. They left no survivors, no wreckage, no trace. The patrol ship simply vanished, another mystery in the void. More ships followed, traders looking for salvage, pirates seeking easy plunder from a dead world, scientific vessels studying the extinct human ecosystem. One by one, they entered the solar system. None ever left. The galaxy began to notice. Ships were disappearing near the Sol system. Some blamed spatial anomalies. Others suggested a new pirate faction. A few whispered that perhaps Earth's death had been exaggerated. But the Galactic Assembly dismissed such talk. They had seen Earth burn. They had ignored its pleas. Surely nothing could have survived. Commander Sarah Chen, now Admiral of Earth's Hidden Fleet, stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, Phoenix Rising. Around her, 20 warships hung in the darkness between Earth and Mars, invisible to any sensors, waiting. Each ship bore the scars of its construction, welded plates and mismatched hull sections telling the story of their desperate origins. But their weapons glowed with Zarathi power, and their crews burned with 20 years of carefully nurtured rage. The galaxy had taught humanity a valuable lesson. In the vast cosmos, only strength mattered. Mercy was weakness. Compassion was death. The time for hiding was almost over. Earth's scouts reported increased activity at the edge of the solar system. The disappearances had finally attracted serious attention. A full investigation fleet was being assembled. The Galactic Assembly wanted answers about the Sol anomalies. Sarah smiled coldly. They would get their answers. They would learn what their abandonment had created. The galaxy had left humanity to die in darkness. Now humanity would show them what had grown in that darkness, what had been forged in the fires of betrayal and neglect. As she watched her fleet prepare for the revelation to come, Sarah thought about the children in the underground cities. They had never seen stars except in pictures, never felt sunlight except from artificial lamps. But they knew the story. Every human knew the story. How the galaxy had turned away when Earth screamed for help. How aliens had laughed while humans died. How the mighty Galactic Assembly had deemed humanity unworthy of protection. Those children would see the stars soon. They would see them through the viewports of warships. They would see them burn. The rising Storm Admiral Korvax of the Galactic. Assembly Fleet had seen many dead worlds in his career. Planets stripped by raiders, civilizations ended by plague, species that simply failed to adapt. Earth would be just another tomb to catalog. His investigation fleet of 15 ships entered the Sol system with casual arrogance, their sensors sweeping for anomalies, their crews relaxed and joking about the primitive humans who once thought they belonged among the stars. Korvax himself barely paid attention to the operation. Dead worlds held no surprises. The first surprise came at Neptune. Korvax's sensors detected metal signatures in the planet's shadow, too large to be debris, too structured to be natural. He ordered 2 scout ships to investigate. They moved forward confidently, their shields at minimum power, their weapons cold. Why waste energy on a graveyard? The scouts disappeared into Neptune's shadow. Their final transmission was a single word that made Korvax's blue blood freeze. Impossible. From Neptune's darkness, Earth's fleet emerged. 20 ships of nightmare design cobbled together from a dozen different technologies, their hulls scarred and ugly, their weapons glowing with eldritch fire. Phoenix Rising led them, a massive dreadnought that looked like it had been built by mad gods. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice crackled across the communication channels, speaking in perfect galactic standard. Admiral Korvax, you stand in human space. You were not invited. You will not leave.